Hey, welcome to the Transit Podcast. My name is Kirill Brainin. It's been a while since we posted, and hopefully we'll be posting more in the future. No intro songs, no anything crazy today, no editing. I was able to sit down with my friend Cody Lampman, who just dropped an amazing section today on the eve of his leaving the country for yet another adventure long term. Cody usually does not stay in the U.S. He's kind of a nomad. But due to COVID-19, he ended up coming back to the U.S. for a while, and tomorrow he's out again. That being said, why don't y'all sit down, hang out, and take a listen. Thanks. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I do.
I mean, it's got to be better with the mic, though.
I mean, we started.
Because audio is fucked. You know what is weird about this? Is like I still think that I have so much to prove.
With skating?
Yeah. So anytime people like it, I'm always like, especially if it's somebody that I look up to, it never gets old. So I'm always like, like, this is so weird. Like, this person actually enjoys what I'm doing. And beyond that, when younger skaters like the Denmark kids, or even like some of the California guys, it's like they talk to me with like reverence. And in my mind, it's like, what do you mean? I haven't even gotten to that level yet of skating.
I think it's in the eye of the beholder.
Probably.
And the beholder might be those kids.
Maybe I don't want to be old. And that's what it is. So I'm like, I can't be like the kind of like proven pro now. That sucks. I want to be on the up and up.
I think everyone's on the up and up. And
Yeah.
I think everyone that is putting out stuff is like, or I don't think everyone, but I feel like everyone that I've watched for a long time, so I almost just imagine that everyone's already like well into their 30s and just like putting out more shit than I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I think too it helps me when I have that feeling of like I'm down to see somebody just skating, like the Kelsos,
Yeah.
Like it's great that they're just skating. Like I don't care what they're skating. But for me, when I skate, I still always have that like have to prove it thing. And I think that's why people have resonated with this, is because I'm not like doing what I've done before and know how to do. I mean, I am in a way, but I'm always pushing it like a little further. So it's not like here's the first section in 2 years and it's like me grinding curbs.
Well, like we talked about yesterday, the fact that I watched that edit was like, there's no negatives.
I'm actually surprised that you caught that, because even I didn't catch it until, like I said, when I did the wall ride. And then Michael and I were talking about it, and I was like, wait a minute. I just got rid of the last negative. That's weird. It's weird like because I set out to do that. I had one. And I tried to do one other one, and it didn't work out. So that's interesting. But when I first got those skates, and I was kind of happy because I couldn't negative anymore. Because it's such a go-to for wall rails. Like if I'm afraid of a wall rail, I'll just negative acid it, because I'm just as likely to do that as a topsoul. And I tried another one too here, and I couldn't do it with Hazen on this big square rail. I just kept missing it and falling down the stairs. Oh, no. So it worked out because I wanted to do no negatives, but it was like I didn't have to try not to, which is strange.
I think it just dawned on me too that you, for people that will end up listening, when did you get into Salt Lake? Was it June?
July.
July?
Yeah.
And you knew that you wanted to film something since then with Michael, but then how many actual clips did you get here? That made the part. That made the part. 6. And then...
Right? Or 5?
I thought it was less than 6.
It might be 5, because I cut one.
But, how many of them did you get in Salt Lake in the last 2 weeks?
2.
Out of those 5?
2.
And then you said you got 15 in Denver in 1 week?
Yeah, I did 15 in Denver.
So,
but I threw 2 away, so 13.
True. But my ultimate point is that you also went from riding your regular frames to wish frames, and you got 17 clips in wish frames from never skating them before.
Yeah,
like
that's
a taller
true.
frame.
Yeah.
Flat. How'd that feel? Has that even like crossed your mind yet?
Yeah, a little bit in Denver for sure, because I got past the point of noticing them, except that I've always been really paranoid about cracks. Like, I don't know when it happened. At some point, I just stopped. Like, I won't even skate a rail if there's a bad crack, unless I really, really want the rail, because otherwise it's in my head and it's not fun. And with the wish, it doesn't matter. And I noticed when I watched some tricks in Denver, because those were the first ones that I got with the wish, then my skating looked how I always wanted it to. Like, there was a little more weight, and there was a little more solidity to the landings, because I've always kind of seen myself as being really squirrely and like just, I don't know, just like stumbling around, and the extra bit of weight on the frame just helps me like slam down, and the audio is so much more pleasant. There's one clip in there where I do a line here riding anti-rocker, and it's just like, I don't know, it sounds like I'm carrying a bag of marbles or something.
Cookie.
But then I do that like 5 in the wish, and I turn the audio up in the landing, and it just sounds like one of the drums in the songs. So that definitely helps. And it helps because I like to go really fast.
That's true.
So that's the big thing about them, is you can just get so much speed and go over whatever you want. Doing that wall ride was easy in them compared to doing it in normal flat.
I did notice that. Was it like a? It was like a 180 and 12 wall ride, and then you 3'd out.
Yeah.
Was that the one?
Yeah.
And then you landed.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you landed. It was in the part, but I do feel like on that particular trick, like makes me wonder if you would have like fallen back if you didn't have wish frames, because I felt like that was a pretty big impact.
Honestly, the run up on that one is so bad you can't see it in the clip. It's just like the worst concrete. I had to cut the clip earlier because I'm just tripping on the run up, even in wish. And if you're tripping in wish, then you're in big trouble if you're not riding flat. But I had jumped that stair before for fun. But if you look at the clip, I've slowed it down just to look at it afterwards. I kind of hate that clip because I'm all squirrely, but I land almost like 270, and the wheels just are fine.
Yeah.
Just like grab the ground.
I do think that landing squarely gives a section character.
Yeah,
not like
for sure.
not like all the time, but I feel like when I watch sections where everyone's just like perfectly on beat every landing, it is cool to watch, but I feel like it also ends up looking.
Oh, dude, yeah. With this one, when I started working on this one, my big thing in my head was I want to do the tricks that I like to do, but more importantly, I want to go fast, and I want to be like at like 85% control. Like everyone skates perfectly now. Everybody's bra scout basically.
It's true.
And so I love that, but I can't do that. I'm not good enough to do that. So I want clips like that. Wall ride was a good example, but the pud slide was a better example. Where like at the end I lose control, and when I landed I thought it was over, and then Jeff was just, like, you're an idiot, that's what you want. And then I watched it and I was like, wow, that is exactly what I want. Where like I'm clearly in control, but barely. So a little bit of sketch, I think it's good. It's more exciting.
It was great. I mean, that pud slide was insane.
It wasn't that hard though.
Well,
it's just scary.
Like I've said before, you're Cody. No, but like I said, I was reading your comments. Your 200 comments.
I haven't looked at a single one.
I know. So the true Macchio, the disaster.
Oh, the
full cab
thing.
Macchio, yeah, and the pud slider, the talk of the town in your comments.
It's surprising because I hate that full cab one.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
No, it was badass because you kept the grab.
I just couldn't do it how I wanted to. Like, I wanted to spin it, kick it, hit it with a good sound, and pull it back. But it's so low. When you're at the top of the stair, you've seen it. Like, where you're going to hit, obviously, is lower than the stair, but it's also really close. So I had to, like, creep up to it, not jump, and, like float down the stair and hit it. So half the time I did it, I fell because I had no speed, and I was just taking a big drop. But I know one of my other friends hit me up and was like, oh, that was so sick. And it was like, No. I landed all goofy. The audio's bad. I didn't really get it. But I don't know. I guess people really liked it. It looks gnarly, I guess. And it was pretty gnarly. I couldn't walk for a few days after that because my back was made out of one bone.
Was that the one you said that you fell on a lot? You said there was a particular clip that you kept, like, eating shit on.
I ate a lot of shit on that one. Not bad, but like those big drop falls, you know, where you're falling backwards and you're not really getting hurt, but it's just like compressing your back and hurting your feet. But other than that one, I only fell a lot on the true Machio on the electrical box. Unless that's the one people are talking about. But I don't think so, because that's
the true Machio on the electrical box is what I think people are oh, maybe they're not.
I
forgot you did that one at the U.
One. Yeah, because that one looks more impressive. But the electrical box one is way harder because it's like offset to the side and the ground is horrible. I just didn't want to fall. And of course, first try, I like shredded my palms to hamburger meat and then just kept doing it over and over again. It's weird how some tricks are like that.
So when you were in Denver and you were with Coach, did he take you to spots that he wanted you to skate at, or did you guys cruise around, or did you already know what you wanted to do? Or did he convince you to do some things that maybe you wouldn't have done?
Well, I knew that to make the part happen, I had to get at least 10 tricks in Denver. So I made a list. And I know Denver. We were joking that you can kind of do the, you know, like when Professor X goes into Cerebrum and he like zooms around and looks at all the mutants, like we were talking about how before you go to a city, you know, you can kind of do that. So I had a list of like, for sure, ones that I wanted. When I knew that I was going to skate to that song, I knew that at that point of the song where it kicks back in after the like guitar break, I had to pud slide that big rail. And I'd seen a clip of Jared Banning backsliding it. So I knew that that was the one. Like I could do that one. So I had like that one, the True Mach in the electrical box, and the Soul 3 out on the big drop ledge. But other than that, like Jeff had a few ideas. He has a spot map with over 1,000 spots on it that he's taken pictures of. So like we scrolled through that, kind of came up with a plan. And then like two others we found by scraping around, just like looking. But we kind of know every alleyway in Denver, so it's kind of difficult. But for the most part, I kind of knew what I wanted to go to and get. And he had some ideas too. And the silver Safeway rail, like the second rail in the part.
Yeah.
We used to live across the street from that, but it was capped with like real caps, like welded on. And it's a perfect rail. And I saw a clip of a skateboarder grinding it recently. So I was like, dude, let's just go check it out, you know? We went over there, drove for an hour in traffic across Denver, and I tried to fakie through this stair at this church and just like fell down the stairs. And was just so over it. I didn't get any tricks that day. So we went to look at that rail, and skateboarders had angle grinded the caps off. So that was sick. We went back the next day, and it was closed because of COVID. They'd freshly bonded it, so it was like, all right, it's on now.
It was meant to be.
It was supposed to happen. So like some of it was serendipitous like that, but I definitely had a plan. And towards the end, I was a little more stressed out, like, got to get all these deals tomorrow. And usually the only day that I really felt that way, I didn't get any tricks. So then after that, I was like, all right, let's just chill and go and get some.
Yeah.
The opener was the very last trick. He'd shown me a photograph of it, and he hadn't been to it. And as soon as I saw there was a little ditch next to it, then I was like, all right, let's go try to true Mizzou that thing.
So you knew you were going to do that trick?
Yeah, for sure. That was one that I was waiting on.
So overall, happy with the way it came out? Like, pleased? Do you feel whole?
Yeah, but it kind of goes both ways. I feel that I could have mixed the audio better. Like last night when you came over and I was telling you guys that like my computer was just freaking out and it wasn't exporting correctly. Like I could export it one time and it was saving all this stuff somewhere that I couldn't find it. So then I would have to like delete a bunch of stuff and try to save it again. And at one point when I was doing the color correction, I accidentally copy and pasted the audio adjustments to every clip from like one. So I had to go back and redo the audio on all of them. And at that point I was getting nervous. Like, why do I do this to myself? Why didn't I have this part done a week ago? And like take my time. So watching it today, I noticed that one of the ramps isn't really how I wanted it. And some of the audio isn't that great. But that's like little stuff. I don't know. I've watched it too many times.
Being critical.
By the time you and I watched it last night, I like hated it already. Do I feel good about it? Yeah. I mean, I think it's the best thing I've ever made, for sure, but
I agree.
I don't know why, because a lot of the tricks were easier for me to do, but I think I'm just in a different headspace now.
Yeah. When you did the underpass wall ride the day before yesterday, and then I was like, oh, it's crazy. Like, that's great. He's about to leave the country. He got what he wanted to do, like the ending clip. And then I thought it was maybe going to be like, we'll wait a couple weeks because you're about to go through this big journey again. And then yesterday you're like, new edit dropping tomorrow. I'm like, what? When did you have time, dude? It was already in an outline or what? Or you just were like, it's as soon as you landed that wall ride, you're like, I just want to put it
No,
out.
I already had it in an outline. When I was in Denver, I knew the song. As soon as I found that song, I was originally going to skate to Nick Cave because I've always wanted to. And then I found that other song, and it was just like, I have to do this. Orville Peck is my hero. This is the coolest music video I've ever seen. Every single line resonates with me. Like, I feel emotional listening to this song. I have to use this song. So while I was in Denver, we would capture the footage every day, and I would throw it in the timeline to take a look at it. And then on the plane, I got it into pretty rough shape. And that way it helped, because then I knew that one of the tricks wasn't going to work, and I had to replace it. Which worked out well, because we went and did the backslide on the capped rail right before the wall ride.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because I knew that could replace it if I could do it. And then, honestly, I was just paranoid that somebody else was going to use the song. So I was like, I just have to get this done and out before, somebody uses this song and breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So it was all ready to go. I just knew that I had to do the wall ride better, because the first time I did it, it was awful. It looked horrible.
It looked great. You just needed a bigger piece of wood.
A bigger board. It was easy once we had your board. Did we leave that there? When we left, we got back to...
I left it there.
Okay, I wonder, because I was like, wait a minute, we didn't even help him get his board. Crap.
I mean, that board's been sitting in my garage from, like, the last 2 years, like, Gorilla Blade Jam.
Yeah.
So when I brought it, I knew I was going to leave it there. Also,
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be used for something or another.
Yeah, hopefully.
At that spot.
Yeah. I think a biker could get up there.
I'm glad. Oh, man. I remember being so tired that day at work.
I know,
like,
I felt bad.
I left because I didn't feel good. For anyone that's listening, I just got back and got a bad cold. Went and got tested for COVID. Came up negative, and then you're like, hey, can I still use that board? And I'm like, yes. And I went home early that day to sleep. And then my boss asked me if I can come back to the shop around 4. And I, like, set an alarm clock, slept for a little bit, loaded that board, like, groggily, like, picked it up by myself, threw it over the fence. Couldn't believe that I could fit a whole piece of plywood in the back of my car. And then as I was at work, and I knew that he wanted me to stay there till 6, and I got, like, a missed call from you and a missed call from Michael. And I got all nervous. I was like, fuck, like, I gotta go now. Because I kept seeing the sunlight and, like, looking at on your iPhone where it shows you what time the sun goes down.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I gotta go. I showed him that picture, like I said, I told you to send me the picture.
Yeah.
He's like, holy shit. And then let me go, and luckily you got it. I mean, you got it.
It was easy.
It was easy.
Because I did it, the first time I tried to do it, I jumped at least 30 times before I made it, because that ramp sucks. And I'm not good at ramps, and then I figured out that you just had to go fast and not jump. But it took 30 jumps to get to that point, and I didn't have a pull,
Yeah.
So I'm skating as fast as I can and then jumping. But once you were there, I knew that with the pull and with the board it would be fine. But I felt bad, because I was like, oh man, he's probably so stressed out. But I was also very stressed out, because I've been like out of my head the past week filming this. I was just talking to Annalise about it and apologizing, like, I'm sorry, I've been so obsessed with this. But that day for sure, I was like, gotta just get this and be done with it now. I meant to do the backslide second, because I was worried I would get hurt. So I was going to do the wall ride first trick of the day, and then do the backslide, but we went, and like we told you, there were cars in the way. So it worked out weirdly serendipitously, where it was the backslide first and then the wall ride last, and the wall ride was also the first trick I did for the part, and the last. So that goes to show you how productive and effective I am. I have to do the same trick twice. But the light was way cooler.
I mean, you did it way more than twice, because I asked if you can get a fisheye shot, and then the one I posted wasn't even the one that you redid that wall ride like 8 times for.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. It was kind of fun after I landed it, because once I landed it that first time, I had been so superstitious about the part. Because I've always been that way when I get towards the end of a part, but this one especially, I was so close to being done, and it meant so much to me that I kind of felt that something was going to go wrong, and I wasn't going to be able to finish it. I was going to break my leg or something. And so once I landed it and I knew that it was done, it was like the biggest weight off my shoulders I've ever felt for skating, certainly. So then it was like, okay, yeah, like let's go really fast and blast it up there. I don't care what happens now.
Dude.
But those photos came out very good. I'm excited about those.
I still like Swan's photo a lot.
Yeah, I used that one for the YouTube
that.
cover.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because it needs to be 16 by 9. Mm-hmm. And then I used yours for the IG because it's vertical.
Yeah, I think you're the one that got me. I don't even know. Do you post in 1x1?
No.
Did we ever talk about that in camping or wall camping? That you shoot? For some reason, I just decided to only go. Like, I don't take the photos in 1x1, but then I force myself to edit them in 1x1. I, for some reason, thought that was something you said that, not like you do, but like you've thought about it before, because then you have to like, you have to get enough of the shot to know that you're going to crop a bunch of it out, or it makes you think something differently. Maybe it could have been a documentary I watched, though.
It might have been someone else, but I've tried it before. I just didn't care for it. Now I just do 4 or 5 or whatever, because I at some point swallowed my ego and was like, I'm shooting for Instagram, and Instagram is 4 or 5, so fuck it. Plus, I just like that aspect ratio. But you could shoot it square, in camera.
No, I know you can.
Or frame it, at least.
You don't... I mean, it's photography talk. I don't know if anyone cares. Oh, well, overall, sexually great. I feel like we talked about it in depth, which is great, regardless, but... let's talk about, real quick, people that don't know, or maybe just heard about you somehow in the last 12 hours.
Seems like quite a few people have, in fact.
So that's good. But where have you been the last X amount of years, and then how did you end up back in the States?
Well, I quit skating in 2018 just because I was kind of over the industry and the usual egotistical crap. I was just ready to do other stuff. I kind of felt like I'd done everything that I wanted to with it, and I wanted to travel, so I just saved a bunch of money and sold everything that I had. And also I didn't want to carry skates, but I knew that I would skate again. I just didn't think I would ever film a part again. It's too much work and I'm too emotionally stressful. And so then I just traveled for a while, went to Portugal, Morocco, just working in hostels. And my partner Annalise joined me, and she taught me graphic design. And then from there, I learned web design and then moved into UX design and development. And so then I could just travel all the time. So after that, we went all over the place, the usual: Thailand, Vietnam, Croatia for a while, Bulgaria. But really, the only important part was that while I was in Bulgaria, I'd been thinking about skating a little bit, and I thought about it a lot. Like when I would hear a certain song, maybe, I would think this would be cool for a part. Mm-hmm. But I always took that with a grain of salt, because sometimes I would hear a song and think that and try to make a part to it, and it sucked. But I still would think about the emotional side of it, like this part of a song would be great for this type of trick, and it would make the viewer feel like this, which was important to me. So then in Bulgaria, I finally decided I'm just going to buy skates for fun, and there was a skate shop there. So I went to the skate shop. The only skates they had in my size were Aeons. I wanted them, but they only had Aeons. It's fine. I mean, it's Eastern Europe. They only have Power Slide. And so I walked around the block for 3 hours. I don't know if I ever told you that.
I think you did.
Deliberating. Do I want to do this? What does skating mean to me? Am I going to enjoy this? Why do I want to skate again? And I finally realized I want to skate again so that I can meet skaters. I miss meeting skaters. I don't care if I ever do a hard trick again. So I bought the Aeons, and I'll never forget skating back to our apartment because it just felt so good, especially riding 8 down and going over like the cobblestones and just like zooming. It just felt so good. So then 2 days later, Annalise went with me and we got her skates too, and there happened to be a box jam or whatever at this old communist monument. Mm-hmm. So I went and met some skaters there, skated a box. It was the most fun like box session ever. It was only like 2.5 feet high, but I skated it for 3 hours. I was able to like 3-sole it and do some other stuff. I think I 3-mocked it, but it was weird. It was like my legs weren't mine. Like my head was mine, and I was in more control of my head than ever before, but I just couldn't jump. And then the next day I could barely walk. My thighs were just so hard. And so then I got to hang out with the guys there. So shout out Evgeny, shout out Eval. And those guys would take me to their sick little indoor park, and like we would hang out and skate in like 30 degrees. And they took me to a birthday party for another skater in another city, and it was just like, it was exactly the confirmation that I needed, you know? Like, I want to skate again for fun, and I want to meet skaters, and within days I was hanging out at this weird party in Bulgaria at 4 a.m. with a bunch of rollerbladers. It was great. It was just what I wanted. So then in Croatia, the same thing kind of happened. I met some skaters there. My friend Matt was just blading for fun all the time, but I kind of knew that I had to make one more part. And it had been eating at me a little bit because the last part that I had made hadn't, like, it was good, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And the ending wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I called Mikel and was like, hey, dude, what do you think about making a skate park? You know, and like, you want to come to Bulgaria? And so he was down, and that was when COVID happened. So then I kind of like put it to the side. In Croatia, I just skated for fun. I just bladed around, skated DIY spots. Didn't even really like consider it training. Like, I never did anything that I thought would hurt me. And my body at the time was in bad shape, dude. My knees were like, I really thought I wouldn't be able to skate for real because my knees killed me all the time.
Yeah.
But I started taking it serious and like working out every day, stretching every day. Like, I would wake up, sit meditation, stretch. I totally changed our diet. We were pretty healthy anyway, but started eating a lot of stuff that's supposed to fight inflammation, that sort of thing. And would go and like skate hard for exercise and always take a day off. And so when I came back to the States, it basically got to the point in Croatia where it was like, you can come back now or don't. The Croatian government was cool. They didn't care. Like, they said, stay as long as you want. But I kind of felt like we had some business to do in America anyway. So I bought new skates, had them shipped to my parents' house, and came back and got them, and then kind of started really training and like actually trying some more scarier stuff. In Croatia, I did a pretty scary like grind gap too.
And for reference for people listening, when you say Croatia's government was cool, they mean COVID started, U.S. passports were being worn thin kind of thing? Like, I know other people had to leave the countries that they were visiting or living in.
Well, it depends on the country. We were supposed to go to Serbia next, and I had already talked to 2 Serbian rollerbladers. But then Serbia right away just said, nope, nobody in or out, canceled all flights. So the Americans there had to have a private like flight chartered them out by the U.S. government. In Croatia, you have 3 months for a visa. So our visa was going to run out. So we went to a police station and said, hey, you know, we don't know what to do. We can't go to Serbia. Our visa's going to run out. And they like looked at it. We didn't have stamps because we took a bus in. They didn't stamp us for some reason. And like they were speaking Croatian, and then they like left the room, and then another guy came back, and he was just like handed us our passports, and he's like, it's okay, it's no big deal, just stay as long as you want, they don't care. And I was like, they're not going to care at the airport if I've been here for 6 months? And he's like, no, it doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we could have just stayed there, but I hated those Aeons. So I was like, I'm willing to go to America just to buy them skates and then leave again, because these skates are horrible and they look stupid. I can't like handle looking at these on my feet. I feel like an asshole. But yeah, kind of been everywhere, I guess. And now it's off to the Republic of Georgia tomorrow morning, hopefully.
This is a bittersweet podcast before
that. A very bittersweet
Or because
podcast.
of that. I feel like, what did I say yesterday? I felt like it's been like the movie Grease.
Mm-hmm.
Where we had known each other a little bit before.
Yeah.
I think, from a camping trip a couple years back. And then...
But this was our first real fling.
This was our first real fling. We really had some summer loving, and to be true, it did happen so fast. But I feel like you and I became... I feel like we became really good friends.
Yeah, we did.
And then I'm like... and I don't remember who I was telling something. I don't know if I was talking to you or who it was, but it's like, how old are you?
30.
You're 30, I'm 34. I feel like it's hard to make close friends when you're an adult, or when you get older.
Yeah, I think so too.
I feel like I got like a taste of it, and then I'm just like, oh, okay. you gotta go back to your town. I'm just sticking back here, dude.
It is hard because I think as you get older, you develop more specific tastes.
Yeah.
And you kind of know what works for you and what doesn't, and it gets harder to find that.
Mm-hmm.
Even in skating, I kind of found that, where I had a lot of friends that I'm still very close friends with in skating, but if it weren't for skating, we're completely different people.
Yeah.
So you kind of need that connective tissue to find anyone.
I think I knew we did. I don't remember how. I feel like you were staying with Michael your first week still.
Mm-hmm.
In Rose Park. And it was like the day before Annalise was flying in.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I looked at some of your photos and was like, can you teach me your editing flow? Because I really like the way your photos are edited. I like the way they're shot, clearly. And you're like, yeah, come over. And Michael was at home. And I had just gone through something personally, but I still wanted to come hang out. And then I think like halfway through you talking to me about what you do, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm actually like, you're talking and I'm seeing your mouth move, but I can't pay attention to you because I was having like a slight anxiety attack or panic attack. I think it was more than slight, actually. I was like freaking out in my head.
Yeah, you seemed pretty upset.
Yeah, I was. I was trying to hold it together because I didn't know you that well. And then you're like, that's okay. Do you want to go sit in the backyard and chat? And I think we just sat in like 2 chairs in the backyard for like...
Yeah, it was good.
2 hours.
It was much more entertaining than editing photographs.
It was. And I don't think we talked about rollerblading at all. I think we just talked.
No. Yeah, you just told me what was up.
Yeah.
And I gave you some advice.
It was great.
And that was about it. Remember I gave you that thumb drive? You can cut this out too. Do you have that?
A thumb drive?
When we met that day, I gave you a thumb drive with some...
Yes.
But listen, it's not about the thumb drive.
Okay.
I changed to the new Lightroom.
Yeah.
And I lost all, like, my black and white preset.
Oh.
And, like, I don't know how I got it. I've searched everywhere from where I originally got it. It's just gone. And, like, it took me years to develop that. But I think I put it on that thumb drive when I gave it to you. And so if you have it, it might be on there. If not, it's not a big deal. But I've, like, been freaking out trying to find this preset that I love so much.
It might be in this backpack I have right now.
Wouldn't that be? It just never came out.
Also a good...
If not, don't sweat it. I just thought of that when we were talking about it that day. Because I don't know what happened, dude. The new Lightroom sucks. I'm not even going to use it anymore. But if I have the preset, I think I can import it to Capture One. It's been driving me crazy.
You gave me all those presets, and I'm not going to lie, I don't think I ever loaded them because I just went back to using Visco. Cody, how's your potty? Which I love using.
Fuck Lightroom, dude. It's a piece of shit.
It has everything I need.
Yeah,
how's your flight looking like?
Shit. I can edit photos just good enough. With the stock Apple photo editor. It doesn't matter.
Okay, listen.
Nils,
it's not in here, but I know exactly where it is.
Send me a message on
because it was in this bag, and then I cleaned it, so tomorrow morning when I pick you up,
upwards of a week.
I'll just have it with me.
Okay. Our last flight is canceled, so I don't know what we're going to do. We're just going to wait in Latvia and hopefully get on a flight to Georgia.
Yes,
and
that would be awesome. I've been dying.
Hopefully our freelance, nomad, whatever, ding-dong visa will work when we get to the border. Or they'll turn us around.
Cody just left to use the bathroom, so...
What we're going to do.
What would you do? We'll continue in a second.
I don't know. I know that we can go to Serbia, so maybe just go to Serbia. Because it's kind of in the area, and I don't think they're too strict on it right now. But we'll see. I mean, we have everything in order. It just seems so shady. Because there's so much weird stuff about it. Like, Annalise applied for the visa, but I didn't. And she told him that I was coming with her, and they said that that was fine. They didn't need anything from me. But I feel like at the border, that's not going to be the case. But we'll see.
I also think it's weird that you have 4 flights and you don't know what airlines you're flying on.
Yeah, but when you book international flights like this, you never really You just book the cheapest one. Doesn't matter. I only have one bag, so it's like whatever they want me to fly on. I think I'm flying Delta tomorrow. I don't know.
That'll be nice. Nice first leg.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I told you there's only one airline you shouldn't fly on.
Yeah, Aeroflot.
Aeroflot.
I did a search one day into which planes crash the most. I hate to fly. I'm terrified of flying.
Yeah, why are you bringing this up before you go?
Aeroflot was number one. It was like they have a plane crash every year or something. Mm-hmm. So I won't ever do that.
But you don't know what airlines you're flying on?
No.
So what if you get to one of these countries?
And they're like Aeroflot. I don't know. Most of them are pretty... It's usually like Frontier or...
Yeah.
In Europe, it's almost always Ryanair, you know.
Ryanair, EasyJet or something.
It's the shitty cheap ones, yeah. I think the last flight is Air Baltic or something. It gets pretty limited when you get over there.
Air Baltic.
Yeah, but once you're in the neighborhood, then you can just take a bus or a train, and then I'll be able to relax.
That's true.
I didn't even like flying to Denver.
Really?
I hate flying.
I used to hate it and have a huge fear of it. And I guess part of me still does, but as soon as the wheels leave the ground, in my mind, like, if it's going to happen, it doesn't matter because it's going to happen at like 500 miles an hour and there's nothing I can do about it. And I think once I realized that would be the case, as soon as the wheels leave the ground, I'm just like, whatever. I'm not in control at this point.
I mean...
Unless you got like a Captain Sully or whoever that famous pilot is on board.
Logically, I understand that if the plane is going to crash, it's going to be in the first 3 minutes or the last 7. And yet, still I'm the most afraid when we're just flying through the air, which is perfectly normal. And I also understand that you're more likely to die on the way to the airport. And the strange part about it is that I have no fear of dying. I face death every morning when I sit Zazen. Like, it sounds stupid, but that's kind of what you're doing. But what I have said to Annalise is that I'm not afraid of dying in a plane crash. I just am afraid of when the plane is going down and everyone's going to be screaming and it's going to be so emotionally exhilarating. It's going to be too intense.
It's going to be...
It
makes my heart palpitate just thinking about that. That's always what I think of, is I'm just like the last... Because you're very conscious of what's happening.
Right,
and you know that there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And you're just in this like vessel.
Yeah. And I like to be in control. If I was flying the plane, I would probably be enjoying it, but because I'm not, I'm terrified. It's like when you're driving in a car, you know, if I drive a car alone, I'll drive over 100 miles an hour and drive stupid, but when I'm in the passenger seat, I'm afraid for the most part.
Have you ever seen me in a passenger of someone else's car? The whole time you've been here? And I pick you up almost every time.
I've offered to drive, I think.
And I won't let people do it because of that very reason. When I was in high school, when I was a junior in high school, I totaled my dad's car, my mom's car, I guess, which was my first car, within my first month of getting my license. And I was terrified. Like, it scared me. So I lived pretty close to my high school, so I just decided to walk to school. And then at some point, my friends that drove, I was friends with a couple seniors, and they offered to pick me up. And within 2 weeks, I was in 4 car accidents within their cars.
Good God.
I mean, they were like fender benders for those. Yeah. But that was enough for me to... I remember I think I didn't drive for like 6 months or longer. And then my fear of... And I was 17 at that point. I think my fear of letting other people not drive me has only slowly started going away or getting normalized like in the last 2 years.
Interesting.
I do not like not being in control.
The time after... If you've been in a serious car accident... When you start to drive again afterwards, that almost hyper-awareness that you feel when you're driving is such a strange thing. It's almost similar to skating when you're doing an extremely dangerous trick, or to meditation when you're at when you hit a very certain point where you pass away basically and you're just aware. I remember that feeling after when I was in high school, I was in a serious accident too. And I remember driving for the first time afterwards and being... it felt like the air was thinner, and I was just so focused on everything going on around me. If everyone could drive like that all the time, then it wouldn't be a problem.
The only issue with that now is you can be as aware as you want, and it takes somebody else that just receives a text message and it's over.
Oh, of course. People. Yeah, that's the danger of it.
I was reading a story on KSL, which is like our local news station today, about a head-on collision up here off 201 where the West Valley Skate Park is, and a little bit past it, where it's a major like 3-lane on each side or 4-lane on each side freeway, but then at some point when you go past Magna, that's what it is, Magna, it just turns into a 2-lane, one direction each way. And it was just talking about like how there was a head-on collision last night, and it's because one of the cars just like went straight into the other lane, and it's someone got distracted.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I think in America,
no one died actually, which is good. But I mean, I don't want to say yet, but usually you kind of get one of these situations where it might take a couple days.
We drive so much here, and roads in America are so wide. I think they make us dumb. Because when you think about in a lot of Europe, roads are really narrow, and that's why the cars are so small, and you have to... Things look crazy, but you have to be paying attention all the time. It's like riding a motorcycle in Vietnam or something. It looks crazy, but it's an organized madness because everybody is paying close attention. Whereas in the States, we have so much room. That's the weirdest thing about the States to me, is how wide the streets are in your average small town. And I think because of that, people just zone out way easier. And we're used to driving. I mean, it's true of any big city, but here especially, it's what Americans do. We do the road trip, man. Drive across the country.
That's right.
At 100 miles an hour.
Maybe on your watch.
Yeah.
We're going smooth 75 if I'm in control.
Now, yeah. When I was younger, I was a speed demon.
Yeah, I've never been a fan. Not enough reaction time. If you want to go that route. I didn't think the conversation would turn into airplane crashes and car accidents in American roads, but here we are.
They're not so different from skating if you like to tempt death a little bit. I like having a near-death experience. It's very good for you, but I like to be in control of when it ends, I guess. You know, like if you're going to grind a big rail, you're kind of in control of when that situation is going to resolve itself.
True.
Which I suppose is part of why we do that.
Yeah. What are your plans? Like, okay, you get into Georgia. I know you have to quarantine for 2 weeks, regardless. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna just, be working or do whatever. Sit in a hotel room for 2 weeks.
Tattoo myself for 2 weeks.
That's true. You did get into tattooing. We could briefly touch on that. But after that 2 weeks, like, what's the agenda? I mean, I know there kind of isn't any because you work for yourself. But, like, do you have things in mind that you want to do when you get there?
I don't know. It's such a difficult time to have plans. Probably we'll just get a nice apartment and kind of just live the local life for 6 months. That's what we tend to do now. For a while when we traveled, we went for really short periods. Like we'd go to a city and live in a hostel for 2 weeks, but it kind of sucks doing that. It's way more fun to live for 3 months somewhere, meet the locals, get to like know what you're doing and just kind of live there. There is no plan. But the ironic part is now that I'm skating again, all I ever wanted when I was still skating was to be able to travel and skate, especially in Europe and in anywhere else too, Asia, wherever. So now that I can really skate as much as I want with anybody I want anywhere in the world for the most part, I would like to start doing that, but of course I can't. So there's some irony to the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's also just strange because before we came back to the States, I said to Annalise, like, I'm nervous to go back to America because I feel like we won't be able to leave. And we just I had a big job, so I had a bunch of money. I had no reason to think that. And now, lo and behold, it's almost impossible to leave. But I don't know, if things clear up, I would love to just go start doing some Europe stuff. I want to go skate. First on the list, I want to go skate and film with Bobby. And I would love to go and skate with Leon and Bauer and those guys in London. So we'll see. I wanted to go to Winter Clash this year, but it's been canceled. Because I've never been able to do that stuff. Now that I can, I'm like, I want to take advantage of it. I want to just show up and skate with people. I want to go skate with Dan in Africa. Like, that would be great.
That would be sweet.
It's expensive to get down there, but...
Have you researched, is there a bleed scene in Georgia?
Yeah, there's a couple dudes. I've only done a little research so far.
Have you contacted them?
Not yet, because I don't know when we're going to be there. But usually, like, I'll ask some of the other guys. Like, the guys in Bulgaria put me in touch with the guys in Croatia, and then the guys in Croatia and Bulgaria put me in touch with the guys in Serbia, so usually I try to do that. because that's the best part about it. It's just meeting these dudes. The dudes in Bulgaria made me so pumped on skating again. I just loved hanging out with them and just skating whatever the hell we found.
Yeah.
And not worrying about getting a deal.
Will you be, or can you order? I mean, of course you can order skates wherever you want if there's a blade scene there. But I was going to say, are your skates in good enough shape right now, you think?
Yeah, with those Wish frames and the wheels, I think those will be good for probably 6 months at least. And the boot is in fine condition. I don't really skate stuff that ruins my skates.
True.
But that is kind of tricky sometimes. But there's more blade shops. I mean, in Bulgaria, there's a rollerblading shop. In Croatia, there's a rollerblading shop. So it's not really like the States where you have to order it. Like for wheels, I think we could probably find them without too much trouble.
That's so nice. I guess if you ever have an issue too, you can just contact someone here and just have them send it out to you.
Sometimes with an Airbnb, it's difficult to order stuff, but it makes it nice, man. I've wasted a good amount of money here because I can order things. So I'm like,
you did get a new camera out of it.
Yeah, better order a new camera. Better order 8 pairs of socks. You know, like better order all new clothes. But whatever.
What was your favorite part about your stay here so far? And by stay here, I mean, I guess Salt Lake. Yeah, I mean, you spent most of your time here.
Yeah. Probably just going to TNR.
Yeah.
Or TNB, whatever you call it.
It's TNB out here.
TNB out here.
TNR, TNS, it's all the same thing.
I really enjoy going to TNB because I just like skating with the boys. And especially when you're feeling it a little bit. You don't have to get hurt. You can just like go to Fairmont with the boys and skate the fly out ledge. Mm-hmm. And it's fun. I miss that. I miss sessioning. That's what I love about skating is sessioning with my friends. And I had missed doing that because in Colorado we had a big one. And so doing that here was great. And jumping that cone with you or the barrel was great.
That was really fun.
That was the only reason I learned that I could 5, dude. That night when I did that mute 5, it clicked and I thought, whoa, I can do cool 5s now. I better do one for a clip off a tiny little street launch.
I know, you were like, I can't 540. And then I was like, you should just try it. And then you and, I don't know, who else was doing it with us?
I can't remember. Wasn't one of the skier kids there, maybe?
I think it was Zach or Cal.
Yeah.
Regardless, you guys ended up doing awesome.
Michael was there too. Oh, Zach.
Yes.
Outwheeler was there. He was blasting over it too. Yeah. So that's been the most fun, and all the little comps and stuff. Just skating with a scene of people that are my friends.
That's true. It's wild how Salt Lake is not really like your skating destination point for most people. And then I feel like for some reason since COVID started, we've had more people visit Salt Lake that rollerblade than like in the last 6 months than I feel like have come in the last X amount of years. Yeah. And that's been very wild to me. Just to see people I've come. Thought I'd never see here.
Yeah, meeting and hanging out with Rob G, who I need to hit up because I was supposed to see him before I leave, but that was like, I didn't really think about how random it was to see like him and Cameron and Gutwheeler and all these dudes that have come to visit.
Yeah. I guess, were you here? Yeah, you were. Brad Anthony came.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Brad was a really fun session at Clearfield.
Right. There's been a lot of good sessions.
There's been a lot of great ones.
No more now.
I'm getting sad right now. I'm not going to be emotional sad, but I am getting sad. I'm just like, fuck. Well, it's also, today was the first day it snowed. I'm just like, dude, how, of course, like, winter, I feel like winter just set in. It didn't. It's going to get warm up back to the 60s again, but...
Yeah.
Cody's leaving. Me and Train, Carlos, myself, etc. Other people are just like, you've become such an integral part of the scene. Such a short amount of time, and everyone's just pretty bummed. But also, you're just going to go and make new adventures. I think we're all selfishly bummed because we're like, it gave us some sort of...
Because I'm exotic.
You are an exotic creature.
I'm an exotic skater.
Yeah.
It's been added to the scene.
Yeah.
I know, it has been good.
You gave us some pep, I feel like. Like some well-deserved energy back to the Salt Lake scene. I mean, a lot of the guys had the skier kids have been awesome.
The skier kids are great. The skier kids got me pumped. Reed got me pumped. Reed front-sided that capped rail.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I went there, when I saw, okay, this is going to sound bad. I'm sorry, Reed. But when I saw that he front-sided that, then I thought, you know, like he hasn't been doing rails that long.
On
Right.
rollerblades.
On rollerblades, so if he can frontside through the caps, they must not be that bad.
Yeah.
And I went, like, it's so rough frontsiding through them. It's brutal.
Did you try to frontside it?
Yeah, I frontsided it to, like, warm up on it. And the first day I went to it, I couldn't even get a clip on it. I frontsided it and was like, this is so much worse than I thought. And then...
So also props to Reed.
Oh, big time props to Reed.
Yeah.
But I underestimated him. Because I talked to him about it, too, after I saw the clip of him doing it. And he's like, oh, yeah, dude, it's good.
Yeah.
And then I went there and it was like, dude, this is not good. This is horrible. I feel like I'm going to die frontsiding this. So then that first day I thought, there's no way I could backslide this. It's hard to royale it.
Yeah.
And so when I went back to it to get a deal, I tried to misfit it. And I couldn't do it. It would just kick my foot off. So I was able to kind grind through it, but I already had a kind grind. So then finally I was like starting to lose my cool a little bit because I knew I had to do the wall ride, so I knew that I needed a win. So finally I was like, I'll just try to backslide it and somehow like forced it through.
First try?
No. Pretty quick though.
Yeah.
Because you can't really screw around on that sort of thing, you know?
No.
But anyway, yeah, Reed got me juiced.
Dude, Reed and when we say skier kids, there's... So Salt Lake is, what would you call it? It's a tourist state for snow sports and other sports. But there's been quite a few younger guys out here that are skiers, like park skiers, rail skiers, that switch to rollerblading. And then 3 in particular we're talking about, Reed Hendricks, Zach Strudevant, I think, and Cal Carlson. And they... got really good really fast, but they clearly have skiing style on rollerblades, which is really fun to watch.
I mean, yeah, they look like they're skiing.
Yeah. Brad Anthony said that Cal Carlson's one of his favorite people to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him because...
He has a huge ski following.
Well, he's a pro skier.
He's pro, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is just fun to watch. And it's funny because they all... Or he in particular, anyway, skates wish frames. So they look like skis because he's got the big ones, I'm pretty sure.
He has a size 5-6 foot, and he rides the long wish frames.
Yeah, so he even looks like he's riding skis.
They're massive. But I kind of wondered why he did that, and then I realized the other day, like, clearly it's because it's familiar to him.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the first times we went skating with Zach and Cal, we went to this really long... I don't know how long, but really long seal rail. And I tried forever to get it, and then Cal got it in like 2 tries, which was really cool. But I was like, I guess the younger generation has come.
Well, and he probably does them all the time on skis. And if you can balance on skis, it's probably easier on rollerblades because you have a groove. On skis, you don't have a groove.
I think it's easier to balance on skis. On a round rail.
You can teeter them more.
You can teeter. That's exactly what it is.
Interesting. I mean, hey, dude, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I can't grind long rails.
I've seen you grind long ledges with your negative plate going backwards. That was cool.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't count. That was an angle iron.
Yeah, it counts.
If you take me to a ledge that's longer than 15 feet, I will struggle to grind the whole thing. It took me 2.5 hours to kind grind that stair rail.
Worth the 2.5 hours. That was cool.
No. Not worth that.
Not worth it?
No.
I thought it was sweet.
Not worth it. Right around then, I watched Candy also. And then I saw Mason do that 5 kind grind on that drop rail.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, I just took 2 hours to kind grind a perfect stair rail. This dude's out there with a bald head, 540 kind grinding drop rails.
Yeah, but you were balancing off a 0 kind grind.
I don't know.
And Mason is a monster.
Yeah, you can't compare yourself to a man like that. It's like
he's
comparing
also
yourself
hilarious.
to Aragon. Yeah. There are certain men that you cannot... I can't compete with that. I can't compete with an Aragon or a Mason or a Josiah.
Or an Eugen.
In Oregon. I cannot compete with that. They wouldn't
But it's
have
not a
fun
contest.
skating with that. Right.
It's not a contest. I like watching different
can't do
people
that.
because of what they can do.
Yeah. At some point, I realized that the only way that I was going to be able to do anything was if I worked with my strengths.
Yeah.
And did tricks. I don't know how to put it. I was never just going to be straightforward good. I'm not just straightforward good. I can't really do much on a P rail. I can't like barely grind a flat rail.
No, I think you do great. There's a... I'm going to say a trick, and then I'm going to fall into asking you the same question, but there's a trick that John Bellino does. I don't remember what section. It's not his VOD, which was great. But he does like a full alley-oop topsoul down a down rail, like a perfect one. Like
Rewind 3?
Rewind 3. Was it Rewind 3?
He's done it in 2 parts. I have like
this is like a lady was like kicking him out of a...
Yeah, that was in the Vibrolux thing.
Oh yeah.
He did Rewind 3 on that one.
So that's probably like, if someone was like, what's your favorite trick you've ever seen of all time? I would say that. So follow question, can you think of someone doing... Is there like a trick?
Favorite trick of all time?
Maybe it's not of all... I mean, I don't know. That one is just like, that one I'll always think about. I'll always think about... Roscoe, like... I think it was like a 540 through that hole in the wall in one of the KFCs.
Was that Alex?
Yeah, totally. He has that one, and he also did a trick where he like did like a 360 between like 2 tree branches.
Yeah, that one I remember.
So I'll always like remember like, so I put that, I don't know why I put that alley topsoul in with that, because I don't think the stunt level is quite as big as like some of the stuff Roscoe's done. But regardless, it was done just so well.
Yeah.
That you can help to be like, that was incredible. But do you have anything like that?
Well,
of other people? Maybe it's like not, you have to like really think about it, but just like something that instantly pops into your head.
That's what I was going to say. If I really thought about it, it could get too complicated. Sean Kelso's done a lot of stuff that I love, but the first 2 that probably come to mind are Colin in The Truth 2 does a med spin Liu Kane like half cab over a double set. It's perfectly timed to a Danzig song, and like, I don't know, every time I watch that, it is just so well done and sick, and like the perfect example of, here's Colin Kelso, and John Bellino is also very good about this. Colin Kelso has 900 at a stair set. Like he's done stylish 540s over stair sets. Like he went to that double set, could have done anything he wanted, chose to do a fakey 180 basically.
Mm-hmm.
With the med spin, it's really hard and scary to do that well. But like he just chose that perfect spot for the perfect part in the song, and every time I see it, it gets me. I've always wanted to do it, but I can't do it as good as him. But there was one other one that I was thinking of that's pretty far up there, but
yeah, I just, as you were talking, I thought of 2 more that are instantly in my head.
Yeah, you know, there's just some of those tricks.
Go-tos.
But for me, I've noticed that over the years, they're about an emotion. I've always been more interested in an emotion than like a sheer feat of impossibility.
That's true.
You know, like John, the point being with John, he's one of the best skaters ever. Like he can do stuff that nobody can do. Like he was doing stuff that people are still barely doing now, but he evolved and figured out the right stuff to do, which is way more interesting. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Howie did like my favorite trick ever.
Which is?
I think it was in his very last part that he made. There's this spot, this wall rail with bricks. I backsided it once and Neg Machio'd it. It's a square wall rail. And at the top of it, before the rail, there's like a little curb, but it's an angled curb.
Yeah.
So like in theory, you could ride up the curb and up the wall and over the rail and drop down onto the rail.
Yeah.
And he did it. But Howie has done the hardest tricks ever done on rollerblades. And I'm not just saying that because he's my friend. Like, he's the only one that's done real pole jams, real wall rides. Like, the stuff that a lot of guys do now, like, kind of faking it, Howie does, like, has done for real. But you have to be paying attention. Like, a trick like that to anybody else, it's like, well, he just top-sold the rail. Like, no, he rode up the wall from the ground, off the curb, up over the rail, and dropped onto a topsoul. Like,
that's true.
That sort of stuff blows my mind. That was one of the coolest tricks I've ever seen done in person, and I've seen him do a lot of impossible ones.
There is a very good pole jam I have seen that is very real.
I love pole jams.
But I don't know if it's called... I don't know if it'd be a pole jam.
It's
the end
hard.
of Sizemore's section, where he, like, comes off that ledge onto, like, a pole that's sticking out of a construction site.
Pole jams
that was fucked.
And wall rides and stuff are cool, but very, very... There's less than 5 people in the world that actually do them.
Yeah.
Most people just drag their feet, or they like kick the wall, or if they're riding up a wall, they're not actually riding up the wall. They're not actually riding the wall.
Mm.
But like Jeff does it well, Howie does it well. We all had an obsession with it for a while, where we would hold each other to it. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do it for real. But man, there's this trick too that Justin Barr did once. That's the craziest trick I've ever seen done in person. Hands down. Beyond anything else I've ever seen. I've seen some heavy stuff. There's just this river with you can imagine a walkway leading through a park, and then it goes over this river. But instead of a bridge, they just put parking blocks across it about 2 inches apart on each one.
Mm-hmm.
So the river is probably at least 10 feet across. So there's just parking block. So you walk over the parking blocks and the water goes between them.
Yes.
He came full speed down a hill, just knew that it had to work or he would die, and rode across it. And like if it hadn't worked, if he had tripped, he would have just face planted full speed like into a row of parking blocks. It was wild.
That's crazy.
The clip is unbelievable. He just zooms in.
I'll have to see that.
I think it was in El Chupo, so it's old.
Yeah, I'll have to see that. Yeah, the other one I thought of was Billy O'Neill does that, like, you know, like he rides up like that overpass, and then he like, I don't remember if it was it was like a 540 to flat.
Mm-hmm.
I remember just being like, wow, that was a lot.
Yeah, that part had some good ones.
And then anything in Joey Chase's section from Wake Up, but particularly that 540 he does on the double set time to the music.
Oh yeah.
Like gives me like the chills every time. Like I straight up get like chicken skin every time I watch it. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
I think the song in it was powerful. The same as how you had like a powerful song in your choice. That's another thing you'll read in your comments that you have not read yet. People were really pumped on the song and thought that the song plus your skating plus the editing like really gave it more depth than just rollerblading.
That's what I mean, man. Like that's what I care about, dude. Like I don't care. At this point, everybody is so good. And when you're younger and you don't really understand skating, that's when you go through a phase where you're like, wow, Aragon's like the best blader ever. No offense, Brian. Like, he is one of the best ever. So is Broskow. But as you get older, it's almost like any other art. Like, you can be technically the best painter in the world. But if you're not using it in a way that's emotionally engaging, I don't really care. Like, I don't care if you can do a full cab alley topsoul, rewind out, and you do it on the same California rails that everyone else skates. Like, it just bores me. Like, it's cool, and it's technically impressive, but I want to see a part where you're doing the right trick for the right spot, where you're clearly engaged in it and doing it the way that you want to do it, whether that's doing it perfect or a little sketchy or whatever, and then you're choosing a song that's going to bring it all together, because it should be in like a whole thing. And that's why, like I said, like Colin stands out to me because he's always done that. Or like Broskow has always done it too. But, you know, there's a lot of those dudes who, like, Jeff and I talked about it recently. Like, if you're going to just grind drop rails and jump gaps, it doesn't really matter how you edit it, you know? Like, it's going to look cool.
Yeah.
But I want to see something.
Oh,
I want to feel something.
We were talking about a perfect example before we started recording, and that's Ryan Arnold and Vine Street to The Knife.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah.
Perfectly done. Good job. Remind me?
Dom West.
I'm sorry, I'm really bad at things like this.
Yeah, that's a very good example of a section like that.
Oh, and then you were talking about the Cayenne guys?
Yeah, the Cayenne guys. Well, that's a different type of thing. That's more like making it approachable and fun and entertaining.
Yeah, we were talking about, maybe it can be up for some sort of discussion somewhere in some thread, but we were talking about what video would you show somebody that's never watched rollerblading before? And we both agreed that you can show somebody just like a straight hammer section or video, but they won't understand because a lot of it looks the same. Like, they don't understand the intricacies in like switch and regular and how hard something is. So Cody brought up that more like storytelling pictures would be more appropriate, because then you can kind of like vibe with the crew as they work. So we started talking about Cayenne Project. I thought Vine Street was something similar.
Yeah, Cayenne, everything Cayenne does. David, Carson, Chris, I love you guys. Scotty, you as well, you little cunt.
There you go.
Please invite me on one of your trips. But Yeah, those are very approachable videos because, like we were saying, anybody can watch that and be like, hey, this is cool. I don't know what that trick is on that rail, but it looks like they're having a good time and those locals are into it.
Dude,
It's entertaining.
that's how I feel about watching the bank stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's so much of a story, but they have so much like random B-roll of the guys just like hanging out in the city that like it just makes me want to be there.
Yeah.
Like it makes you feel like you can be friends with them.
Yeah, Leon's skating is very approachable and very refined. He's so good.
I love watching him, and
I love him.
I mean, he's an older blader too, isn't he? At this point?
It doesn't matter though.
It doesn't matter because he's so on point.
He's one of those guys who I've always
gets better
enjoyed.
with time.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple guys that get better with time. I think he's one of them.
I knew that Leon and I would be friends. He was just one of those people. He was like Rob in a way, where it was like I think that him and I have similar views, and then when we meet, it's just a natural friendship.
Yeah.
I love to skate with Leon. I would love to go skate with those guys. But yeah, Leon's very fun to watch. But it's getting rare now. Dude, I was kind of bummed that the part came out today because tomorrow there's like a Basement Dead part coming out. And I was like,
really?
One good thing coming out, in this 6-month period, of course, is coming out the day after I put out my part.
I think yours will live.
We'll see. You never know. Sometimes you think they will, they don't. Especially in today's world, like, just get swallowed up so quick.
There is a lot to consume.
But there isn't in blading. I kind of like that about it. Like, I watch a lot of skateboarding, and in skateboarding, there's a banger edit every single week. Like, a banger.
Do you think social media ruined skate videos? This is the most, like, Facebook question of all time.
No, I think that social media has been the best thing that's ever happened to blading. Because look at how many people see it. If you want to watch blading on YouTube, you have to search for it. But you could very likely just be scrolling through Instagram and happen to see somebody share it because so many people are doing it and sharing it. Like, look at how many people are skating. I thought skating was way more dead until I started looking at Instagram and seeing in every country there's somebody out there skating and Instagramming it.
That's true.
It's made the community way tighter, I think, too, because everybody's approachable now.
I guess when I say it, I'm more wondering, like, so I follow, like, quite a few skaters or skating channels. I'm sure you do, too, at some point.
Not too many.
But do you stop and watch every single rollerblading thing that someone posts, even if it's just, like, a single trick or an edit? And I reference that by saying, and reference my original question with going, like, when you would wait, and this is like maybe showing age, which I think everyone, it doesn't matter because I feel like we're all somehow weirdly still skating in our 30s. I feel like everyone is, but I know we're not. Or 40s or older. But do you feel like back in the day when you would wait for something to release, or like you'd wait for your local skate shop to get it, or you'd wait for this or wait for that, like you would sit there and really pay attention to everyone's tricks, where I feel like now I kind of like there's people that I might, like I'm scrolling through whatever, and then I might stop at someone that I do want to watch, but I just skip over someone else, even though they put the effort in and putting it out. And then I go like, I'm not going to say shitty, but like, is that just like the way my brain has like formed now? Because I'm not, like, there is no anticipation. It is so readily available.
I'm sure that...
I don't even know if this question's important.
No, it's very often a question that you hear discussed or read discussed. I think that we're nostalgic for a time that was not just different because there wasn't social media. I mean, we all sat down together and watched, Words or whatever when it came out because we didn't have phones to play with and because one dude had the VHS, so it was altogether different. So, of course, there was that hype. But I don't know. I go back and forth on it now. Like, with this part, I kind of thought maybe I'm going to hype it up for a week. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just drop it on everybody right now. Like, you're getting it tomorrow. Here you go.
I think that's the way it should happen.
It plays into it, yeah. But I don't think that... I think that the hype is still there for some projects. Like, Cayenne, of course, is doing it. When I see they're making something, I'm pumped for it. And when it comes out, I download it and I watch it on a TV and I don't look at my phone. But I also have a weirder relationship with that sort of thing. I don't look at Instagram that much, and when I do, I try to have like a goal or a reason. Like, a lot of times I'll just post and then I put it away and I'm done, and maybe later I'll respond to every comment and that's it. But I don't like scrolling. I don't like what it does to your mind.
I agree.
I think it makes
You are less of a digital kind of guy. I'm not going to say you're an analog person, but you just use it very minimalistically.
I work online.
Yeah.
You know, but I try to be very deliberate in what I'm doing, so I can't really say. But I have a weird conundrum with skating on Instagram because I don't... It sounds stupid, but when I was young, I remember the pros that I met who were cool. And I remember the ones who I met who were dicks.
Same.
And I always told myself when I was skating alone, you know, in Arizona, like, I remember meeting some of the guys in the South and they were dicks, you know, and like, I just remember thinking, like, whenever I'm a big skater or whatever that means in rollerblading, like, I don't care how good people are, I will be cool to everyone. So anytime somebody adds me on Instagram, I kind of have the habit now of just, like, adding them back and, like, liking their stuff. But, of course, it does mean if I do scroll, I don't know, like, half the skaters anymore.
Yeah.
But what can you do? I mean, that's just the nature of it. It's like, because everyone's accessible, then it almost takes away from it. You know, like, if, like, 100 people messaged me today about this park, and I responded personally to every single one, but because of that, it probably means less. So it's hard to say.
No, that...
It's just a different time, a different thing now.
It is a different time. I think it's still a good time.
Definitely. I mean, the cool thing now is, you know, we have the technology to make a part and put it out. I made this part last week, edited it, put it out on my own channel. Like, everybody can see it and tell me directly what they think about it. Never could have done that before.
I feel like people are very excited. I mean, what were we talking? We were talking about someone earlier where certain people were great because you didn't get to see a lot of them. I think we were talking about Ryan Arnold.
Ryan Arnold.
Where you're like, fuck, I wish I could have seen that guy skate more because we both loved him so much. But then what it be is, I mean, you could say the same thing about anything. You could say the same thing about, like, musicians. I mean, 27 Club, Biggie, Tupac, everyone, Buddy Holly, Big Bopper, whatever, etc.
I think it's...
Where their music is great. I mean, they made great music. Otis Redding, dude, R.I.P., that's my favorite. Their music was great because it was great, but then you also you only got so much of it, and that's all you have.
Yeah.
And I think that makes an impact on people because people really look forward to listening to it, or it becomes like an instant classic or something.
Yeah. There's some element of that that's also tied up in the idea, to me, that if you're making less, you probably are spending longer on each project and care about it more. Like, I couldn't make a project like this every year, or I guess maybe like once a year I could make a project like this at most.
Would it be as important to you if you did it once a year?
No, and it wouldn't be as good, you know? But at the same time, I mean, if you look at Alex, like, he has figured out a way to do it all and do it all well. Like, when Alex comes out with a new part, it's great and you're pumped, but at the same time, when he puts out Instagram clips, they're cool and great and it's awesome. Like, he's somehow done both.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's very difficult to do that. I know a lot of skaters who were very interesting and then began to produce more and more content, and then it just kind of got boring. Because no matter how good you are, it's going to get repetitious.
Yeah, it's like an over... Man, I just had that word in my head. No, I don't.
But
you're overstimulated.
Yeah, and I think nowadays if you want to be a sponsored skater and you want to produce Instagram content, that's awesome, and you should be doing that. For me, I just can't do it. I'm not good enough. It stresses me out to be trying to get clips, and when I'm getting a clip now, I've found that there's no halfway. Like, I can't do a trick that isn't worthy of a video part because I won't like it.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, you probably can't be making consistent content.
True.
So for me, I won't ever be sponsored again, and that's fine. But I do think that we are getting a little over the top with it now, that a lot of skaters are expected to post something every single day. I mean, that's not good for anybody.
No.
You know? If that's what you want to do, awesome, but I just think from a marketing standpoint, I know for a fact that it doesn't work.
Yeah. I agree.
To each their own.
To each their own.
You know, like if Ryan Arnold comes out tomorrow, Ryan Arnold, I don't know you, but please do. If he comes out with a part tomorrow that's the best part he ever made, nobody's going to say, dude, it's a bummer that you haven't put out any clips the past 3 years or whatever, you know?
Yeah, people are just going to be hyped to see what he has now.
Right, like, nobody has busted my balls like, oh, dude, you haven't been skating enough. Nobody cares.
Cody, first of all, I'm going to miss you. Something terrible. Something terrible. And I'm glad that I'm going to wake up extra early tomorrow to see you guys off to the airport. But
Thank you.
Any final words before? I would also enjoy to do this, like a remote one via Zoom or something when you're in Georgia. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we could
at
do
some
that,
point.
certainly.
And speaking of oversaturation, not soon. I mean, I love you, but maybe in a couple months.
Yeah, give it a few months.
Yeah,
at
like
least.
meet the locals, give me some cool stories.
Yeah, right now people have a little interest because I look like I'm skating again. But no, thank you to everybody that watched the part. It means more to me than I'll ever be able to put to words. I'm just grateful to be a part of skating. And if I'm ever in your country and you see that on Instagram, please do not hesitate to contact me. I would love to skate or get coffee. And thanks for doing this.
Thanks for being on. I feel like we've talked about it since you arrived.
We have. Finally made it happen at the last minute. Did everything at the last minute.
We did a lot of... You did a lot of things at the last minute. But I'm glad that our journey was spent frequently together. You're a fun person to go camping with.
I'm not a great camper.
You'll learn to be one.
Someday.
Maybe I'll try camping at a hostel with you sometime
Okay.
soon in another country.
Deal.
Okay. All right, everyone. That's Cody.
So long.
So long.